Hello, and this is Saturday Morning Recorded, and I'm your host, Cohen Vogel. And for today's special guest, that's my friend, Dani McQuillen. For your weekly tidbit of news, it's that flying squirrels are able to glow, but in colors that we can't really pick up with our eyes, but other flying squirrels are able to pick up. So they're able to see each other in dark and snowy nights, and it's really cool. Here's your special guest. This week's special guest is my friend, Dani McQuillen. For your first question, it will be, so you're really into squirrels. So what is it like having practically like squirrel pets?
Well, I think a lot of people feed squirrels, right? And have some that come around their house. But I think I became more obsessed when I started luring them to my husband, Troy McQuillen's house. I had squirrels at the house that I lived in before I moved in with Troy, and they just always came. But when I moved to Troy's, there were no squirrels, and I became a little bit obsessed about, well, why won't squirrels come here? And started trying to lure them and was unable to lure them for years. And then I finally figured it out. You know the guy who does the squirrel mazes? Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Google it. He made a comment and said their favorite nut is walnuts, like by a lot. So I bought some walnuts, and within days, I had squirrels.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really cool. How many squirrels frequent your house?
There is one regular visitor that we have given a name. I call him, at first I was going to call him Scooter, and people were debating what name should be. My children that are teenagers thinks his name ought to be Insurance, but Troy, since his name is McQuillen, thought his name should be McScooter. And so we shorted it. Troy literally said, how cool would it be when you holler for him to say, McScoots? And so it became McScoots. And he comes a lot, and you can recognize him even by his stance and his face. I have upwards of 4 is the most. Mm-hmm. And Troy says it's because there's not very many mature trees in our neighborhood yet, like not a lot of big trees. But today, I had 2, but never more than 4. I've never seen more than 4 at Troy's house.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I also hear you keep a lot of squirrel, items and things, so.
Well, I've bought some myself, but people give them to me as gifts now, but I'm kind of picky and snotty about the ones I like. So I have a pretty small collection of figurines, but the oldest one I have is kind of weird because I don't remember seeing any squirrels on the reservation where I grew up. But when I was in kindergarten, so that would have been about 50 years ago, I made one out of clay and tempera paint, and my mother saved it. And after my mother died a few years ago, when we were cleaning out her apartment, we found it, and I brought it here to Aberdeen. So my first squirrel I made in kindergarten, and I still have it. It's on a shelf in my living room.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So right now, we're both in the play, The Homecoming.
Yes.
So
Come see it.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite parts about being in shows and plays in the community?
I just have always kind of liked helping out with theater. I didn't really act in a lot of shows before Aberdeen, but I helped a lot with sets, and I'm kind of good at painting and decorating, so I did a lot of that at the Black Hills Community Playhouse. I had friends who worked there, and then also just some stuff with college and school. But this was the first place I really was in a full-blown play to this level. And there's something fun about meeting new people. Like a classic, I'm going to give a shout out to Jessica Apple. I was in Love, Lost, and What I Wore recently with Jessica Apple and a lot of other great people. I just love meeting the people. And since then, Jessica and I see each other all the time. And we always speculate, how many times in the 15 years I've lived here or longer have I been so close to Jessica all the time and just never knew her. And now I've been in this play with her and I see her all the time. So I think that's the cool thing. Even this play, I'm meeting a lot of new people, even though I hang out at the theater a lot. And so I love that aspect of it. And then I must be addicted to the sheer terror of trying to learn lines and be in front of people and not forget them at this point, because I've been volunteering a lot to be in, try to be in shows lately. So
cool.
Yeah, and I love to usher, help out.
Yeah. Now, you're also a lawyer, and you just received a very cool award. Could you tell us a little about that?
Well, I had the good fortune, I've been a lawyer since 2003. I graduated from law school, and I was in my 30s. I went to law school a little bit later than a lot of people go. And I've always done Indian law because I'm a Native American. I'm an Oneida Indian from the nation of Wisconsin, and I'm also Oglala Sioux, which is, I grew up on that reservation here in South Dakota. So I do a lot of Indian law. And since about 15 years ago, I've worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And just in the last year, the new Secretary of the Interior, her name's Deb Haaland. She's the first Secretary of the Interior that is also Native American. And she initiated a project to research boarding schools, which are the historical boarding schools that they put Indian children in to try to honestly break up families and break up communities so they could steal land, essentially. And so I've been helping do the research on that. And the whole goal is to try to help people find their children, because some people don't know where their children ended up, that they died while they were there, or they ran away from there and they've just become lost. And that there's some children buried at those schools. And so that's the ultimate goal, is to try to help families reconnect to their ancestors and loved. Literally, there's people alive today that went to those schools that don't know what happened to their loved ones. So we're trying to help them figure that out. And we did a lot of work in this last year, like lots and lots of work. And somebody recognized it and nominated it for us for an award. So I got a Distinguished Service Award from the Department of the Interior, and I can never win one again. You can only win one in your life. So it's really unusual to have received that award. I mean, it's an honor, but to me, the honor has been just having the chance to work on a project like this. And now I get to work on it permanently. I just will be starting a new job next week where I get to work. They were just borrowing me. Now I'll be working with this group full time to work on it as long as they're working on the project.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. It's sad, but I feel really honored to be able to help.
Very cool. And for your final question, what is your favorite book?
You know, I have an odd favorite book because I'm really an advocate for people of color, Indian people, African American, everybody, you know, and some of my ancestry is Hispanic. My maiden name's Fresquez. My dad is not an Indian. He's a Hispanic person. So my favorite book is Gone with the Wind, which a lot of people will say, well, there's elements to that are kind of racist portrayal of the slaves in that, or that, you know, that whole era during the Civil War and that era. But my grandma, I was really lucky on the reservation. I had a grandma who liked to read, and she made me read all the time. Honestly, don't think I would be a lawyer today if my grandma had not made me a reader. I definitely had lots of opportunities to be in a lot of bad places and not a lawyer. And my grandma's encouragement to make me read really honestly changed my life. So the reason I like Gone with the Wind, one of the reasons is it's just beautifully written. It's so well written. Margaret Mitchell's amazing. The other thing I think is really cool about it is I read a biography of Margaret Mitchell, and do you know they like triple fact checked every Civil War detail.
Really?
So you can learn things about the Civil War that are completely accurate by reading Gone with the Wind, about the battles and how many people died and where the positions were. And so it's almost like historical fiction or nonfiction, but it's still fiction, but they really spent a lot of time researching the Civil War history. So, but it is a beautifully written book.
Awesome. Here's Eva's word of the week.
Oxymoron.
Here's 30 Seconds of Nature. Here's the Take 5. Here's this week's Take 5. For your first question, are you a morning person or night person?
Oh God, night. So a night person. Absolutely.
Second person. That was the second question. Oh my.
Yeah.
How do you like your eggs?
My favorite eggs are poached in beef bouillon on buttered toast. It seriously is life-changing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Third question. What is your favorite sitcom?
Boy, that's a hard one. There's a lot that I like, but right now there is a hysterical hit sitcom out about reservation life called Reservation Dogs. And Non-Indians like it too, but Indians think it's even funnier, and it's really well done. It's produced by Native Americans, and it's hilarious.
Fourth question. Have you ever peed in a pool?
No, and I'm going to say this right now. We have a big argument about people who pee in showers too. Like, I will never, ever pee in a shower, and lots of people have asked them that question too. I think it's appalling. The people who agree with it say it all washes down. I think it's wrong.
And then for your fifth and final question, if you could help an endangered species of your choice, what would you pick?
It's whatever you're raising money for the World Wildlife Fund. I mean, I was really concerned about the eagle, of course, when all the DDT was making the shells thin, and I wanted to make sure, you know, that it's an important bird to our heritage, and the buffalo too, just because it's really tied up into our cultural and spiritual and even just survival practices for food and clothing and shelter. So probably either the eagle or the buffalo or both.
Very cool. Now, both of those animals are a great choice, and I personally really love the buffalo, and I think they're awesome animals. It's just really cool to see something of that size, and it's just awesome. They're just really cool animals, like the herds that they travel in, the fact that they're able to move in these massive numbers. And then the bald eagle, of course, is an amazing animal. It's a very beautiful eagle, and yeah, it's really cool. You should definitely go help them out, and many other species out on WWF.org. For my book recommendation this week, I'm going to be recommending this book, The Emperor of Any Place by Tim Winey Jones. But yeah, it's a really interesting book, and it's pretty cool about how the main character is trying to find out how his dad died. And yeah, it's a really interesting book, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was cool. For my adventure this week, I am in the play The Homecoming at ACT. Now, this is what the show The Waltons is based on, and it's a really fun production, and I hope you come check it out. It is the 16th through the 19th at 7:30, and on the 20th, it is at 2:30. You should really come check it out, and it's going to be cool. And as a quick message, I didn't get to say earlier, but my elementary school PE teacher has recently passed away, and I would just like to say that he made an amazing impact on my life and made push-ups fun. So thank you, Mr. Martins. I'm your host, Cohen Vogel, signing off.